It's the GTN Show. Welcome along. Now, in case you hadn't noticed, the Olympics are literally just around the corner. So we're going to be embracing that on this week's show, looking at the news, the great and the not so great, athletes' build-ups, and a controversial decision from World Triathlon.
Plus, we've got some new tech news, the Collins Cup updates, and some race news thrown in.
There's lots been going on in the world of triathlon, and we're going to just sort of share our selection. This first one caught my eye. It was Jan Frodeno, who, you kind of know as a fairly serious athlete, but he spotted a post by Lionel. Obviously, these two are about to race, and Lionel posted this picture of Erin, his wife, on her bike with a picture of Jan on her backside, basically. So Lionel is kind of, in theory, chasing down Jan. I think, did Lionel not ages ago have a poster of Jan in front of his treadmill as well?
Yeah, exactly. They're definitely building up this battle, and this was obviously Lionel's motivation for, let's hope, a hard run, because he would hopefully have barked straight past his wife.
Yeah, I think so.
For a hard run, and he then Jan replied and said, "Did Erin leave you for dead with this on her back?" Because obviously Jan's going to make everything go faster. Yeah. So yeah, it is building up a little bit for this weekend. The 18th is the Tri Battle, so Jan versus Lionel in Elgau in Germany. We'll tune in and see what it's all about. I think it might be exciting. Will Jan break the world record? Will Lionel be anywhere near him?
Well, there's been some polls, hasn't there, of or stats of who's quicker over the distance and their best and things, and the stats definitely I can't imagine you'll get much from the bookies for putting your money on Jan.
They definitely favour Jan, but maybe Lionel will make it a race. Let's hope so.
Yeah, well, they've just arrived in Germany as well, so we'll be keeping an eye on them and reporting back with that next week for sure.
Whoa, sorry guys, I've got to jump in here quickly because we've got a very exciting update on this Tri Battle. Now, they're obviously going after a very ambitious time here where every second counts. They're doing the bike on basically a motorway, an out and back course, and well, they're going to have to do a dead turn on that, which is a bit of a killer for speed and time, and will obviously require a lot of effort to accelerate back out of that dead turn. So they've cleverly developed a mini velodrome for that dead turn that allows the athletes to go straight into it, holding some pretty good speed and getting almost slingshot out of it. Hopefully they don't overcook it. Also for the swim, they're going to have a rope almost a meter below the surface of the water, so they can literally just keep their head down, not bother about sighting, and just focus on following that rope through the race course. I mean, I wonder if they could just pull on it. Anyway, so yeah, very exciting. I look forward to seeing it.
Then we spotted this from Aero Coach UK. It's a new chainring which saves you a grand 0.9 watts. I mean, talk about marginal gains, but every little bit counts, right? It's at 50 kilometers an hour, it's going to save you nearly a whole watt. Different shape chainring, a little bit more aerodynamic around the chain.
I mean, it looks really cool.
Yeah, it looks cool. I'm not sure you're going to see it on too many bikes unless it's given away.
Well, I've noticed from whoever's screenshot has been shared on our script that Ollie Bridgewood from GCN has liked it, of course. So,
of course, marginal gains. You've got to support them. No
surprises there. Well, something a little bit more light-hearted. We've spotted Rachel Klammer having a bit of fun with some Strava art ahead of, I'm not exactly sure where she is, but ahead of heading out to Tokyo. And she has drawn the word Tokyo by swimming. But her average pace is 124 per 100 whilst doing this very sort of technical drawing.
Very impressive. I smell a GTN Presenters Challenge coming up here.
I think so.
We might have to head to the lake and see what we can spell.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I'll be holding the same pace while I'm spelling.
No, exactly. Unless that's part of the challenge. But that could be quite a fun one. Maybe one for the show in the future.
Yeah. As she speaks about Tokyo, we start looking towards Tokyo, less than 2 weeks now to the big race. And we're looking at a few things on social media, of course. First up, this from Morgan Pearson, ran a very fast 5K on Independence Day in the US. He ran 14:09 at 5,000 feet elevation too.
That makes a big difference, doesn't it?
So he's really moving along. He's one of those American hopefuls for Tokyo. So he's looking like he's in good form, as are many other athletes at this point.
Yeah, but there's been a bit of a controversial announcement from the World Triathlon regarding the games and actually adding points or weighting to the actual Olympics itself. So it's never been included in the overall points for the World Triathlon Series or the World Triathlon WTCS now, isn't it?
World Triathlon Championship Series.
Yes. And obviously there's been a lot of events cancelled and everything's had to be changed this year. So they kind of don't have very many events to count. So they thought, oh, well, we'll make it one of the main ones, so 1,000 points for a win at the Olympics. But a few athletes, including Jodie Stimpson, have actually sort of shouted about this one, or I think she's reposted something that Sophie Caldwell had posted.
Well, Sophie Caldwell is currently ranked 2nd on the series points, and Taylor Spivey is ranked 3rd on the series points, and neither of them can race the Olympics. Now, you can argue that your final points for the series are the grand final, which is in Edmonton in a few weeks' time, and 3 other scoring races. So they can potentially race all 4 without the Olympic ones. But a few athletes have already missed leads, and of course it gives them absolutely no margin for error. They can't have a bad race where they don't score. They're basically at a disadvantage. They can only race 4 of those races. So there's been a bit of sour grapes about this, and I don't really blame them. It's quite difficult.
It's an interesting one. I mean, because the World Triathlon Series is a separate race, but in modern pentathlon we had a World Cup final, which is I guess similar, which you qualified for, which the Olympics didn't get involved in. But then you also got prize money at the end of the year for your world ranking, and obviously the Olympics would count to that. So, and only 2 athletes from each country can go, whereas in triathlon, if they qualify, 3 can go. So I can kind of see it from a different side. I think it's more the fact that it's been brought in so last minute, and that's what's not fair, that it's kind of, if it was a rule that's always there, no one would even bat an eyelid at it, and it would just be part of, we accept that and we understand that. But,
it is a sudden change that affects the prize money this year immediately. So you can see why some people are a bit upset. Still, we're watching the Olympics with a lot of interest, even without those series points on the line. But there's some bigger things on the line.
And talking of, you just mentioned prize money there, James, but the World Triathlon have just actually announced that they're going to be increasing the prize fund next year up to, I think, is it $1 million for the whole World Triathlon Series. So that's hopefully going to, just increase the sort of excitement behind the sport.
Yep. As far as talking about those points go, it's important to note that the Olympics is actually just the middle race of those series points. There's 2 more after this. There's obviously WTCS Montreal and then the grand final in Edmonton, so both of those in Canada, before they actually decide who the series winner is this year.
Yeah, all to play for. Well, continuing with the Olympic theme, we did say, it's all building up now, and the official entry list has actually been released. So it is all confirmed as to what athletes are heading out to the games. There's some travelling reserves as well, which I think this year are going to be more essential than any other time, because the amount of people that even we know are having to self-isolate or are getting pinged for COVID, and just getting out there safely without a positive test is going to be quite a challenge in itself. So countries are obviously, playing it safe and taking extras with them.
Well, let's hope nobody misses the Olympic final with a positive test. Fingers crossed for all those athletes travelling out at the moment. One of the last team announcements came out this week, and that's Team Canada. Joanna Brown will be representing them with Amelia Kretz, Tyler Mislachuk and Matt Sharp. They obviously qualified 2 men and 2 women there. Kretz and Mislachuk will both be making their 2nd Olympic appearance for Team Canada.
Nice. On a slightly down kind of side of things around the Olympics, on Friday, it was announced that there's now going to be 0 spectators for the whole of the games, which is a real blow. I'm sure the athletes aren't really kind of listening to that at the moment, because they are deep in their last little bits of preparation, and for them, the games are still going ahead, and that's the most important thing. When I heard this news, just felt so gutted, because I know, the experience is going to be so different. But the games are still happening, and that is the most important thing, that we as spectators get to watch it, but those athletes who've trained, they've had to wait a whole extra year. That with this kind of provision going in place, it means that it can still happen. And thank goodness for that. So fingers crossed, like you said, everyone gets there safely. And if you're wanting to get more of the Olympics and really get in the mood, well, there's a new documentary that's featuring Vincent Louis as he attempts to potentially win 2 gold medals. This is the actual first Olympics, isn't it? That a triathlete could win 2 gold medals at one Games. Obviously, France have been really dominant in the team mixed relay, and Vincent Louis, as reigning world champion, has been incredibly strong in the individual event. So it's going to be quite exciting to watch that. But they've been following him over in Girona in his training base, and it's actually going to be a 3-part series. So really sort of showing this journey of what it takes to be a champion. So quite an interesting one to watch, and give you a little bit of a background into one of the athletes who's definitely one to watch at the Games.
Meanwhile, everyone's been following Lachlan Morton doing his Alt Tour de France, where he's riding the whole route, including the breaks. But what if you're stuck in South Africa under lockdown and you can't really even leave your house, never mind your country? There's a South African guy, Travis Johnston, who actually used to be a pro racing me, and he's doing the entire Tour de France on Zwift. So he's ridden every stage, all the kilometers on Zwift. He's got a bit of a virtual peloton riding next to him, and he's going through the whole process every single day, including their rest days. He's riding everything, and he's doing it for charity. So he's riding for Quebeca, which is the same charity that many other guys are riding for. It's also linked to World Bicycle Relief, which Lachlan Morton is riding for. So for every roughly £200 that raised, they can afford a bicycle that they give to someone in need. So he's already raised over £10,000, and he's hoping to raise a bit more before the tour ends on Sunday. So we wish him very well and lots of luck. And obviously, if you want to support him, Give and Gain, Ride for Quebeca, just Google it and you can see you can donate there.
Awesome. I was lucky that the Tour de France wasn't on whilst you were in your 10-day hotel quarantine, because you could have been doing exactly the same thing, James.
Yeah, I'm glad it wasn't, to be honest. That would not have made it go any faster, I don't think.
We got out of that one. We've got one last piece of Tri news. Now, you might remember the amazing performance by Chris Nikic, the first athlete with Down syndrome to complete an Ironman. I think it was last year. Well, he's obviously captured the hearts of millions around the world, and he's actually been nominated for an award. He's going to be collecting the Jimmy V Award at the ESPYS, and apparently this is televised in the States and will have millions of viewers. So it's just obviously great for Chris, but also great for the sport of triathlon to kind of get it to that wider audience.
On our tech news this week, Newton have partnered with Challenge Roth to bring out a Challenge Roth special edition shoe. What's special about these shoes is they're fast, but they're an all-rounder called the Fusion, and what they're really fast at is biodegrading. They are made of recycled and biodegradable materials and leave almost nothing in the landfill. So they biodegrade 75% faster than any other shoe and leave almost nothing in the landfill once they've done that. So it's also, Newton is the world's first vegan running shoe brand certified by PETA, which is of course appealing to some people.
Yeah, I find that confusing because I'm surprised that still loads of running shoe brands use non-vegan products, but anyway, but I do love the fact that, you know, they can advertise being 75% faster than another shoe and then sort of small print at biodegrading, which, you know, is brilliant, but you know how they market that could be quite a fun one as well, couldn't it? But talking of faster, usually we're talking about carbon shoes, so we couldn't really go too long without a new release, and it's a Scott Speed Carbon RC that has just been released. It's pretty standard. It's got light foam, carbon plate, rocker shape, and a heel of 30mm height. So
like all the other ones.
Yeah, exactly.
See if it's as fast as the other ones or faster. They say it's lighter and faster. So do they all. So speaking of those fast carbon shoes though, someone else was spotted in them not running. Conor McGregor wore them to go around the gym and then walk into the ring for his recent UFC fight, which is an interesting choice in footwear. They didn't really help him in the fight itself.
No.
Obviously, they don't wear any shoes, but he wasn't wearing any shoes on the way out either after he broke his leg during the match. So game over for him.
A fast exit, but not with the shoes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Also spotted at the Tour de France this week on the rest day were some 5-spoke wheels, which we haven't seen for many, many years. In fact, there were hot things in the 80s and a few people used them, including Spinergy were the famous brand at the time. They were spotted on Israel Startup Nation's Factor Bike, which they took out for a ride on the rest day, which is interesting. Famously, they were ridden by Mario Cipollini all those years ago, and then they were banned by the UCI because they caused a few nasty accidents. Someone lost their hand, someone hurt their leg. So they were banned. Carbon monocoque wheels were banned, but for some reason, Israel Startup Nation has got them on their bikes again. So maybe we'll see these.
Have the rules changed then? Or not yet?
Not that anyone's aware of, but they're obviously doing some testing on them.
Yeah. But then, I mean, we knew we've had the development of disc brakes, which were not allowed for so long because of safety. So maybe they're starting to realise that.
Exactly. Maybe it wasn't the wheels in the first place that were the issue.
Who knows? Well, one other piece of bike news under tech news, Lotus have just announced that they're actually developing and engineering a new bike. So you probably know them from the Type 108 that Chris Ballman rode in Barcelona. They're now working with Jenson Button and James Roster, so Formula One drivers, using their experience to see what they're going to come up with. So keep an eye out for that one. And there's also a new cycling kit collection that's being made in collaboration with the cycling brand Leger.
On to our race results, and we only have one race's results this week, and that's Ironman 70.3 Ecuador, where Sarah Crowley and Jackson Laundry took the wins. Jackson Laundry with a very good run of 1:10, winning by a fancy 8 minutes, and Sarah Crowley also winning comfortably with a solid 5-minute lead over Elizabeth Bravo of Ecuador. So
well, it's going to be
both of them.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this affects the Collins Cup rankings, because it's getting pretty tight now. So Sarah Crowley, for example, before this race was sitting in 5th, and it's the top 4 that automatically get selected. That's in the team international on the women's side. So she'll be hoping that those have given her a little bit of a boost. And there's actually only 5 races left to count that can change the rankings, and they close on the 9th of August. So I think we're going to see some strong fields over these next 5 races, and they include, we've got Challenge Moscow, Ironman Lake Placid, 70.3 Boulder, Tallinn and Gdynia.
Speaking of Ironman Lake Placid, they previously had said you had to be vaccinated in order to race. They've backtracked on that a little bit now, thankfully. Now you do have to be vaccinated, or you have to have a negative COVID test within 72 hours of arrival at the race, which opens it up to a few more people who potentially couldn't get that vaccine. So yeah, we're looking forward to watching that race. Looking at some of the content you guys have uploaded for us, James sent in this from Mont Tremblant, Quebec, where summer is in full swing. He's been out training with his better half, I suppose. A beautiful sunny location to go for a bike ride.
It looks beautiful, doesn't it? Well, I mean, now summer's sort of arriving here in the Northern Hemisphere, and you guys, I know, are out there doing loads of races and training in the outdoors. So maybe less pain caves, but we'd love to see what you're up to with your training, whether that's swimming, cycling, running, or even racing. Make sure you share those. You can do that using the uploader, which is on screen now, and it's also in the description below. And now the fun part of the show, we get to announce the winners of the ON Cloudboom Echo shoes. There's 4 lucky winners, and the first one is Alice Stewart.
And Jan-Erik Machmuller.
And we have Sebastian Klug.
And finally, Emily Vincent.
So well done, guys. Congratulations. You'll be getting those shoes sent out to you.
On to our caption competition. Last week we had this image of a solo bike left in transition. A few of you wanted to get us singing. Morton said, I should be singing Lonely, Mr. Lonely, but Mark's not here, so we're not going to have any singing, are we?
Oh, James, I mean, you're the new presenter. I think you should be giving it a go as part of your sort of initiation, warming you up to the channel.
Nobody wants to hear that.
Oh, well, no one wants to hear me. We know that anyway, don't we? Rohan Skatesbrook came in with I Just Imagine Mr. Lonely by Bobby Vinton playing over the speakers. I think you guys get the gist here.
Yeah, and Christopher Bornman did a really good job of changing the lyrics to Bohemian Rhapsody. At first I was afraid I was petrified. Again, I'm not going to sing it because you don't want to hear that.
That is quite a tough one, isn't it? And sadly, we don't have David Attenborough here either, but you might have to imagine this message from Lucas Hickey saying, in the voice of David Attenborough, and now a rare glimpse of the Ipsium cuirassarium, or carbon bike, in her natural habitat.
You can almost...
Quiet now, but she'll join the rest of her bunch with blistering speed.
She can't help but to do David Attenborough's voice.
I mean, well, that was sort of like a very female version of terrible rendition.
Our winner for this week is Roger C, and he had a little dig at Cam Worth, said, and Cam Worth should have no trouble finding his bike after that swim. A bit mean.
You're laughing at that one.
But we kind of like it.
James does, anyway.
Congratulations, Roger C.
I don't know how your relationship is with Cam, James, but...
he can take a bit of a ribbing.
I'm sure he can. Well, yeah, congratulations, Roger. We'll get in touch and we will get a cap sent out to you. And now, for your chance to win a cap, we have this picture. Tim Don out the saddle, climbing up a hill at Ironman Bolton, which so happened to be on the 4th of July.
Yeah, so leave your suggestions for the caption for that photo down below. Coming up this week on our channel, we have Zero to Hero, episode 1. That's our cameraman Alex going from zero to his first triathlon, which is going to be an interesting...
right there, the other side of the lens right now.
Going to be an interesting journey watching him. And of course, we have a little bit of a following another journey, and that's Heather's Race to the Stones 100-kilometer race that she just did this past weekend. So that's also coming up on the channel.
I think it needs to be renamed Shuffle to the Stones. There wasn't really much in the way of racing. But
she did brilliantly. I don't know why she's been so harsh on herself.
Yeah, so that's obviously coming up. Now, you might well have noticed James is kind of sporting a brand new t-shirt that is in the GTN shop right now. We've actually got loads of new stock, some new jumpers as well, which I'm loving, although it's warm enough in the UK to not be wearing a jumper today, which is quite exciting. So check those out. The link is on screen now. Give us a like if you've enjoyed this show and hit that globe to subscribe. And a couple of videos that you might want to take a look at now if you've got a bit of time. We had a little bit of fun with James and Mark. The three of us got together for a presenter challenge that was anti-aero. Yeah, go check that out if you want to know more. And we've also just had the first in a series of a sub 2:30 marathon. I mean, how's the training going for that?
It started. The training started. Yeah, we're looking forward to that. It's a big challenge that Mark and I have taken on. So click on that video and have a look at what we're actually aiming for. It's coming up quick though, that marathon.
I bet.